I think this just shows last night's success of the royal state banquet, just shows the power of the soft diplomacy of the royal family, doesn't it? It really does. I mean, you've just obviously talked there about President Trump. His favourite word of the night was unprecedented, because everything, it's almost like trooping the Donald. That's what they're saying it as, rather than trooping the colour. But the fact he obviously was enjoying himself so much, he was in awe of, I think, the spectacle that was put on for him. And then King Charles making that pointed statement, but President Trump nodded along in agreement. So I think that's very, very interesting that the King used his soft diplomatic power just to let it be known which way Britain is going, and that, you know, we will continue to support Ukraine. So,
but this is the thing. We know Donald, shouldn't call him Donald, the president. the president. We know the president has got, I mean, to say a soft spot for the royals is an understatement. He adores the royal family. And so this is a really good way of getting across to him what we want as a country.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. You know, it's the fact the King has that influence on the President of the United States because of that love that Donald Trump has for this country and for our royal family. I mean, he was cock-a-hoop when he was around the Princess of Wales, wasn't he? Thrilled. I don't know if you saw that touching moment where he helped adjust the princess's chair for her to sit down, and he could not stop beaming. I don't think I've seen that man look as happy since when he won the election.
He's thrilled.
For the second time.
He's absolutely thrilled to be here, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the Princess of Wales.
Yes.
Because she looked absolutely stunning at the state banquet last night.
Resplendent. I agree with you, Ellie. I do think it is the most beautiful we've ever seen Princess Catherine look before, even more than her wedding day. It was just incredible. What a gown. That was the British designer that she chose, Philippa Lepley. Absolutely beautiful. I thought she was going to go with Jenny Packham, who is another favoured British designer of her, but she went with Lepley, and then she matched that fantastic couture gown with her favourite tiara, which is the Queen Mary Lover's Knot Tiara, which was commissioned for Queen Mary. That was the late Queen Elizabeth's grandmother in 1914, and it's a favourite of Princess Catherine's. I don't know if you know, but she's worn it a total of 10 times out of 15 for these sort of special state occasions. And I think the reason why is it just suits her so well, and with her having that incredible hair and such a beautiful face, and she has that supermodel figure which just can carry off. She could put a bin bag on and still look drop dead stunning. But last night I knew she was going to pull it out of the bag. She always does, but I think that's just blowing every fashion watcher and royal watcher's expectations out of the window. She looked incredible last night, really did. And as I say, President Trump, he was just thrilled. He couldn't take his eyes off her. I think there's a crush going on there. In a lovely way, of course. I don't mean anything. It was all very lovely. But Melania seems to have got on very well with the Princess of Wales. So they've struck up quite a rapport.
Together, aren't they,
yes, that's right, yes. And I think, so Princess Catherine's taken Melania, the First Lady, out into the gardens in Windsor, and they're going to be talking about nature and how nature's great for young children. And the Princess of Wales is going to talk about how nature was a great healer for her when she was going through her battle with cancer. But gosh, she has bounced back in such an enormous way. When we think about a year ago where we were with her to now, and how incredible she looks, and she's beaming and she's happy, and I just think she is the most wonderful asset we have for this country. And if the late Queen could see now how her and the Prince of Wales, William, conducted themselves last night, and as I say, the president, you know, the most powerful man in the world, Donald Trump, is really, really, really fond of them. And he said he thinks the world of William, as well as his father, the King. So I'm hoping, you know, obviously, that when that time comes, when William does ascend to the throne, that special relationship between our two countries is able to continue. Yes, it really is, seeing the Prince.
Trump couldn't take his eyes off her. The room was buzzing, the chandeliers sparkling, the cameras flashing. But all eyes eventually turned to one moment, the Princess of Wales, dazzling in a breathtaking gown, seated right beside Donald Trump at King Charles's grand state banquet. What unfolded inside Buckingham Palace wasn't just another glittering royal dinner. It was an extraordinary display of soft power, elegance and hidden diplomacy. This night wasn't about quail eggs and sorbet. It was about influence, strategy, and the kind of spectacle that left the world gasping. While many expected ceremony, what they got instead was a political masterclass wrapped in glamour, with the future of Britain's ties to America hanging in the air. The royal banquet had been hyped for weeks, but no one could have predicted just how electric the atmosphere would become once Trump walked in, grinning, visibly impressed by the grandeur of the occasion. From the very beginning, commentators noticed his favourite word of the night was unprecedented, and perhaps rightly so, because it wasn't just pomp and ceremony on display, but a carefully staged performance of Britain's soft diplomacy at its peak. When King Charles delivered his pointed words about standing firm with Ukraine, the cameras caught something unusual. Trump nodding along in agreement, his attention fixed not just on the King's message, but on the entire spectacle surrounding him. It was a calculated move, one designed to show unity, influence and strength. And it worked. But what captured the world's imagination wasn't simply Charles's words, it was the Princess of Wales, dressed in one of her most stunning gowns to date, paired with the famous Queen Mary lover's knot tiara. She stole the show entirely. For many royal watchers, it wasn't just her beauty that shone, but the way she seemed to carry the entire weight of Britain's royal tradition with effortless grace. This was no ordinary appearance. After a year of hardship, her resilience and recovery added even more power to the image she projected. Trump, who has long admired the royals, was visibly captivated. At one point, he leaned closer, adjusting her chair for her, a gesture that had photographers snapping furiously. His smile stretched wider than it had even on the night of his second election victory. The princess, poised yet warm, responded with a gracious smile that instantly went viral. The placement of Trump beside her was no accident. The palace knows how to wield influence, and they know that Trump, a man who has called himself an Anglophile time and time again, has an undeniable admiration for the royals, especially for Catherine. By seating him next to the most admired woman in Britain, the palace was sending a message without uttering a word. This was soft diplomacy at its most subtle and most powerful. Trump, a man who values loyalty and personal connection above all else, was being charmed by Britain's most beloved royal, and he was loving every second of it. Observers also noted that Melania Trump and the Princess of Wales appeared to strike up an easy rapport. The two women were later seen strolling through the gardens, deep in conversation about children and nature, subjects Catherine has championed for years. Behind the smiles and small talk, however, was strategy. This wasn't just about hospitality, it was about building trust, creating bonds, and strengthening a relationship between nations through personal connections, and it seemed to be working. The brilliance of the night lay in its layers. On the surface, it was a glittering display of gowns, tiaras, and silver platters. But underneath, it was a demonstration of Britain's enduring ability to captivate, charm, and influence. The King spoke, the Queen Consort dazzled, and the Princess of Wales shone brighter than ever, leaving Trump, never known for hiding his emotions, beaming like a schoolboy. It was theatre, diplomacy and strategy all rolled into one, and it left even the most cynical observers admitting that Britain had played its hand masterfully. And then there was the deliberate absence. While Trump basked in royal glamour, while the cameras captured smiles and whispered exchanges across the banquet table, there was one figure noticeably absent from the head table, Keir Starmer. The Labour leader, who has often criticised the pomp of the monarchy, was left sidelined, watching from the shadows. The contrast couldn't have been sharper. Trump flanked by Britain's most admired royals, charmed and captivated, while Starmer sat out of frame, excluded from the spectacle. It was a message not just to Trump, but to the British people. When it comes to influence on the world stage, the monarchy still knows how to deliver. This wasn't just dinner. This was strategy. This was power dressed in couture, influence hidden in charm, and politics disguised as pageantry. Trump and Princess Kate stunned the world, but behind the stunning imagery lay something far more significant. The shaping of alliances, the strengthening of bonds, and the subtle push of Britain's hand on the global chessboard. And for once, the entire world was watching.